Synovial joint has two bones that have articular cartilage. Also, joint is surrounded by joint capsule, and the inner lining of the capsule is synovium. Also, there is intra-articular space that filled with synovial fluid. So the main structural components are articular cartilage and synovium. First of all, about articular cartilage. Articular cartilage has two main structural components. It's chondrocytes and extracellular matrix. Simple as that. The main function of chondrocytes is to synthesize and repair extracellular matrix. And extracellular matrix is basically composed of collagen type 2, proteoglycans, and water. Collagen type 2 is the main structural component of extracellular matrix. It provides structure and density. The main function of proteoglycans is to keep water in extracellular matrix, and actually water is the most abundant component of articular cartilage. 80% of cartilage weight is water, and water provides this ability of articular cartilage to withstand significant pressure overload, and also water is essential for cartilage lubrication. Also, very important fact that articular cartilage has no vascularization and no innervation. So without blood supply and without innervation, chondrocytes have very low metabolic rate. And because of that, articular cartilage has very limited regenerative capacity. So basically, articular cartilage is chondrocytes and extracellular matrix. Synovium, as we said earlier, lines inner surface of the joint capsule and has two layers. Outer layer that consists of connective tissue and provides structural function, and inner layer that consists of two types of cells that are organized in 1 to 3 cell layers. It's macrophage-like synovial cells that remove undesirable substances from synovial fluid, so they provide protective function, and fibroblastic synovial cells that are basically the main functional cells of synovium. Also, inner synovial layer has fenestrated capillaries. So synovium has outer and inner layers, and inner layer consists of macrophage-like synovial cells, fibroblastic synovial cells, and also fenestrated capillaries. And all these structural components organize in 1 to 3 layers. And it's very important to understand that in normal condition, inner synovial layer is very thin. So fibroblastic synovial cells is the major functional cells of synovium that play a significant role in normal condition as well as in any inflammatory joint disease. In normal condition, the main function of these cells is to produce hyaluronan into joint space, which is basically hyaluronic acid. The mechanism is that fibroblastic synovial cells produce hyaluronic acid that binds to proteins in synovial fluid and form hyaluronic acid protein complex. This complex, first of all, together with another molecule called lubricine that is located in articular cartilage surface, provides lubrication of articular cartilage. Also, this complex determines the viscosity of synovial fluid. The higher the concentration of this complex, the higher the viscosity. Interesting fact that in cold environment, the viscosity of synovial fluid increases, and it's explained why in cold weather many people, even without significant joint disease, experience joint stiffness. Or if it's patient with joint disease, for example rheumatoid arthritis, this stiffness becomes more pronounced. Also, hyaluronic acid is osmotically active substance that very actively binds water, and this raises literally underestimation of its water binding capacity. Interesting fact that hyaluronic acid chains able to bind water up to 10,000 times of their own volume, and in aqueous solution, hyaluronic acid chains occupy in 100 times larger volumes than in dried state. So fibroblastic synovial cells, by hyaluronic acid secretion, keep synovial fluid within the joint space. So fibroblastic synovial cells, by hyaluronan production, provides cartilage lubrication. Also, it determines the viscosity of synovial fluid, and also it keeps fluid within the joint space. And the logical question, if fibroblastic cells by production of hyaluronic acid just keep synovial fluid within the joint space, how synovial fluid produced? and synovial fluid produced by filtration of blood and capillaries through synovial membrane. And in normal conditions, synovial fluid is ultrafiltrate of the blood plasma, devoid of high molecular proteins and blood cells. Basically, synovial fluid is composed of water and nutrients as electrolytes and glucose. And synovial fluid has two principal functions. It provides cartilage lubrication, and also it provides nutrients for chondrocytes, because recall that cartilage has no vascularization, so the only source of nutrients for chondrocytes is synovial fluid. And the rate of plasma filtration from intracapillary space through synovial membrane to intrajoint space depends on a few factors that are described by Starling equation, and this principle is particularly high yield to know. So synovial fluid produced by filtration of blood plasma from fenestrated capillaries, and the rate of plasma filtration determined by Starling equation factors.